In the scene, Baidu is sitting in a place putting on makeup, while behind her sits Xu Wei, the calm and handsome lead of the series. Xu Wei remains still, his eyes closed. The makeup artist looks at Baidu and asks if she had a fight with her boyfriend, since Xu Wei is so quiet and doesn't speak. Baidu glances at the young men in confusion, unsure of what to say, and chooses to stay silent. Baidu's memory drifts back to 2 days earlier with her close friend, Tang Li. Tang Li tells her that this is Xu Wei, a friend of a friend, and that she actually wants Baidu to join a special show for couples, which she is producing. At first, Baidu refuses to take part in the show, but Tang Li explains that it would be good for her since she would earn a decent amount of money. She knows Baidu is trying to travel as soon as possible, and of course, this money would help her save faster. After many attempts of persuasion, Tang Li finally convinces Baidu. On the other side, Tang Li's friend Yushin is with his friend Xu Wei, who is a woodcarver. Yushin tries to convince him to join the show with Baidu, since as Tang Li's partner he would have to pay a penalty fee if the show failed. Xu Wei tells him that this is none of his business, but Yushin insists that he wouldn't be asking if he had found another young man. Yushin tells him he will stay on his head and won't leave until Xu Wei agrees. Yushin keeps talking to Xu Wei and begging him until Xu Wei finally gives him a CD, telling him that if he can separate the 2 different voices on it, then he will agree. Xu Wei hurries to his friend Tang Li, who is with Baidu, and tells them to help him with the task Xu Wei had assigned. Baidu takes the CD and starts listening carefully until she is able to distinguish the 2 different voices with ease. The next day, Yushin goes to Xu Wei and tells him that he managed to win the challenge and gave him the correct answer. Xu Wei can't believe his friend was able to do it, but he has no choice but to keep his promise. Baidu and Xu Wei step onto the stage for the competition. The host introduces them to the audience as a couple, then asks Baidu about the first time she met her boyfriend Xu Wei. Baidu stands nervously, not knowing what to say, because she remembers how she really met him for the first time. Back then, Baidu had been in a job interview to work as a voiceover artist at a company, where Xu Wei was one of the judges. But after the competition, Baidu went into the bathroom and overheard one of the contestants saying that the other participants were fools, since she was going to get the job anyway because she had connections inside the company. Baidu leaves the bathroom and begins to doubt and object to the result, but no one pays attention. Moments later, she sees the girl hugging Xu Wei tightly because she is one of his fans, and Baidu realizes that this man is the connection who will help the girl get the job. She declares in front of everyone that this is cheating and scolds Xu Wei publicly. Xu Wei stands before her unable to reply, because in fact, he had chosen Baidu herself, but the other judges told him that the result was predetermined and that he was only there for his reputation as a voice actor, not to have any real role in judging. For this reason, Xu Wei cannot explain anything to her and leaves. Baidu returns from her memories at the sound of the host asking her to give her answer. Baidu says that she met him in the library, and when the host asks about her first impression of him, she looks at him with disdain and says he was nice. Xu Wei, however, notices that she is truly angry. When the host asks how long they have been together, Baidu replies that they have been together for 2 days, leaving everyone shocked. Tang Li and Yushin watch the interview, swearing that Baidu is going to bring the whole show down. But at that moment, Xu Wei steps in to save the situation. He tells the host that his girlfriend is just nervous, and what she really meant is that they have been together for 6 months and 2 days. Then Xu Wei moves closer to Baidu romantically and asks her to apologize. Baidu, confused, asks what exactly he wants her to apologize for. He tells her to apologize for being late in coming into his life and making him wait so long. At that moment, the audience erupts in cheers and admiration for this beautiful relationship, while Baidu feels both deeply embarrassed and angry at the same time. But Baidu didn't realize that Xu Wei was speaking seriously. He truly expected an apology from her. After the interview, the 4 of them sit together, and Xu Wei says he will not continue filming the show unless Baidu apologizes to him for the way she spoke to him in front of everyone before. Not only that, but he insists she must also do it publicly, just as she had embarrassed him publicly, otherwise, he will refuse to sign the contract. Baidu loses her temper, stands up, and declares that she will not apologize for something she believes in, because he really did what he did, and she doesn't even want the money from this show. But the next day, we see Baidu standing with Xu Wei in front of all the company staff, apologizing to him for what she had said. At the same time, however, she begins speaking about cheating and dishonesty in the workplace. The director who had been behind the unfair decision hears her words and feels embarrassed. When she finishes, Baidu leaves with Xu Wei following behind her, feeling relieved that she has finally gotten rid of this burden and will still receive the show's payment. After that, Xu Wei asks her to stand so he can rest the contract papers on her back to sign them. Then he tells the 3 of them that he doesn't want to see Baidu or Tang Li anywhere outside of filming, not even by coincidence. Yushin suggests that they should meet outside to make people believe in their relationship, but Xu Wei insists that they will only take pictures together 1 day a week, for just 1 hour, and he won't post any of them on his own social media. Baidu feels very upset by this, and Yushin objects, but Xu Wei says that Baidu herself can post the photos instead. After that, he tells Baidu to stop acting foolishly and putting him in embarrassing situations. After a while, Yushin makes an agreement with Baidu and Xu Wei that neither of them can date anyone else during the entire period of the show, so that no rumors spread about them cheating on each other. and everyone agrees. Baidu returns home feeling distressed that she needs money this badly, sinking into misery. But it doesn't stop there, because that night, she actually sees Shui in her nightmares, coming closer to her while she screams. The next morning, Baidu wakes up to the sound of her friend Tang Li telling her she has to go, since she has an appointment with Shui at a restaurant to take some photos. Even though Baidu had been dreading this meeting since yesterday, she is forced to agree. Baidu leaves the apartment completely unwilling, but Tang Li pushes her to go anyway. When Baidu arrives at the restaurant, she finds Shui already waiting. He tells her that she has already wasted 10 minutes of the hour and that he will not make up for them on her behalf. Then he walks inside and starts eating coldly without even looking at her, not even offering her food, even though she doesn't have money to order anything for herself. When she takes out her phone to snap some pictures, Shui refuses and heads to the bathroom. At that moment, Baidu grabs the food and starts eating because she is starving, but a few minutes later, a former classmate from her high school, someone she used to hate deeply, walks in. The girl starts mocking Baidu, telling her she's pathetic, that she heard she's poor, got fired from her job, and now works part-time jobs. She adds that Baidu isn't as pretty as she used to be, even though she used to be jealous of her, but now she can see how much better off she is in comparison. All these sharp words are said under the cover of a joke, while Baidu can't respond because her mouth is full of food. At that moment, Shui walks back in, holds Baidu's face, pulls her away from the girl, and tells the girl that Baidu is his girlfriend. He acts very sweetly with Baidu in front of the girl, leaving Baidu shocked by his sudden kindness, while the other girl is left embarrassed. Shui then sits down, feeds Baidu with his own hand, and dismisses the girl. After she leaves, Shui's expression returns to his usual stern face, but this time, Baidu feels grateful for his help in front of the bully. When they leave the place, Baidu walks behind him before he gets away and thanks him for defending her earlier. Then she suggests they take a picture together, but instead of posing, she asks that they capture a photo of their shadows. Shui agrees. Afterward, he tells her to rent a bike to go back home because he won't drive her himself. Baidu grows frustrated again with his reckless behavior, then gets on the bike and watches him leave in his luxury car. Even though he's driving along the same road, he doesn't take her with him, and Baidu secretly curses him. Later, Baidu returns home in a miserable state. When Tang Li asks her what happened, she complains that the idiot made her ride a bike from the restaurant all the way home for 3 hours, and now she can't move any part of her body. Shortly after, Baidu receives a call from her childhood friend Letian, who asks her to help him with some studying, but she tells him she's too exhausted and apologizes. Then Tang Li tells her she has a business dinner. At the dinner, Tang Li is with Yushin and the other company members. There, we see how Yushin treats Tang Li completely differently from his friend Shui. He even drinks the wine in her place so she doesn't get tired. They begin talking about their childhood memories, and in the end, Tang Li goes to Yushin's place and they continue the evening there. The next morning, she returns home, and when Baidu asks her where she was, she claims she was at the business dinner. Baidu mocks her, pointing out that she herself said it was a dinner, not a breakfast, and demands to know where she really spent the night. Tang Li tries to avoid answering Baidu, but soon after she receives a call informing her that the next episode of the show has been moved up by a whole day. Tang Li tells Baidu that they have to go shopping for new clothes for the upcoming episode. When the two girls go to the mall, Baidu runs into the bully girl once again, who immediately starts mocking her for coming to such an expensive place. The girl then grabs the outfit Baidu wanted to try on and challenges her to prove she can actually afford it. Even though the price is far beyond what Baidu could pay from her savings, Tang Li pressures her to buy it to save face. After that, the bully tells Baidu that she must have been lying about dating Shui, because she has a mutual friend with him who said they are having a high school reunion party, and Shui told them he would come alone without his girlfriend. But Tang Li steps in and defends Baidu, saying that Shui later told Baidu about the event, which is why she's buying a new outfit, to go with him to the reunion. Later, Baidu scolds Tang Li for dragging her into this, because she has no intention of going to that party. But Tang Li explains that getting involved was necessary to protect the reputation of the show. Baidu insists that Shui would never agree to take her to the reunion and that she won't beg him. Tang Li replies that begging Shui is much better than begging that wretched girl. The next day, filming for the show begins, and the first episode takes place at an amusement park. Each couple must pick a specific challenge to do with their partner, and the draw reveals that Shui and Baidu will enter the haunted house. Baidu is excited, saying she has never been inside a haunted house before but has watched many horror movies, so it can't be any worse than that. She thinks to herself that the worst thing that could happen is having to be next to that idiot Shui. But once they step inside, Baidu becomes terrified of everything around her, screaming even at the woman before she has a chance to scare her. The woman mocks her, saying she hasn't even moved yet. Shui grabs Baidu by the back of her clothes, pulling her along like a child while she clings to him in fear, hugging him tightly the whole time. Although these actions appear staged, the live audience feels Baidu's sincerity because she truly is scared, not acting at all, which makes viewers adore her. Later, Baidu's shoe falls off, and Shui carries her, setting her down on the other side and promising to go back to get the shoe for her. This thoughtful gesture further boosts the couple's popularity among fans. When they both exit the haunted house, the host asks them questions about what they saw inside, such as the costumes' colors and other details. If they can't answer correctly, they'll have to go back in for another round. Not wanting to return, Baidu tries hard to recall everything, and she successfully answers all the questions, ending the day triumphantly. Afterward, the producers announce that the contestants must practice dancing, since the next episode will feature couple dances. For Shu Wei and Baidu, this feels like a nightmare. When they first step onto the stage to rehearse alongside the other couples, their bodies are stiff, moving like robots. But after a while, they start to find a rhythm and dance together more smoothly. The organizers notice that they are the only couple who don't argue while dancing, which makes them believe they are a wonderful pair. In reality, however, the only reason they don't argue is because they don't talk to each other at all about anything. The next day, while everyone is gathered at the company with Tang Li and Yushin, Baidu's mother suddenly storms in and scolds her daughter after recently discovering that she quit her job as a teacher and started chasing her dream of becoming a voice actress. What worried Baidu most was that her mother might also find out she was working several part-time jobs to earn money so she could travel to Japan. Her mother tells her she will take her back to their hometown immediately. A little later, Shu Wei arrives, and when Baidu's mother sees him, she mocks him, saying he's just a carpenter and not suitable for her daughter at all. Shu Wei feels angry because, in reality, he is a sculptor and an artist. He tells her mother that the show he and Baidu are participating in is actually a job, as they will receive a large amount of money when it ends, and if Baidu quits after signing the contract, she will have to pay a hefty penalty. Upon hearing this, her mother quickly backtracks, realizing she would be the one to pay that penalty. Still, she insists on taking Baidu with her that day. But Baidu tells her she already has important lectures to attend and leaves for the university. She sits next to her friend Lu Tian and apologizes for being absent for such a long time in the past few days. After Baidu's lecture ends, she heads to her favorite toy store and keeps staring at the anime figures she loves, whispering to herself that one day she will have the money to buy one. She doesn't realize that Shu Wei is already standing behind her and has overheard her words. Feeling sympathy for her, especially after what happened with her mother, Shu Wei decides to buy her the figure she admired. But when he asks the seller which one she liked, the seller says he isn't sure which exact figure it was. So Shu Wei decides to buy them all and places them inside a huge bag. Later, Shu Wei asks Tang Li where Baidu is, and she gives him her location. When he goes there, however, he finds Baidu sitting with a strange young man. Upset, he leaves without giving her the gifts, believing she is being deceitful, careless about the program, and breaking the terms of the contract. Baidu then looks at the young man, who turns out to be the son of her mother's friend. She calls her mother, asking where she and her friend are, only to find out that they aren't there at all. Her mother had arranged this meeting with her friend's son. Baidu tells her this can't happen because she is bound by the contract not to date any other man during the program. But her mother replies that he's just a friend and she shouldn't embarrass him. Baidu is forced to sit with the young man, only to discover that he is much worse than Shu Wei. He starts speaking to her with complete disrespect, mocking her and even making fun of the anime she loves. At that very moment, Shu Wei returns to the place, realizing that since he is supposed to be her boyfriend in front of everyone, he cannot just leave her there and risk fueling rumors. When he arrives, he finds the young man ridiculing anime songs, while Baidu looks clearly upset. Shu Wei introduces himself as her boyfriend, then firmly takes her hand and walks her out of the place. Baidu feels deeply grateful for what he did. The next day, filming continues with a new challenge, a shooting competition between the contestants. Baidu, however, stands there looking completely clueless, unable even to hold the bow properly. Shu Wei tells her to stop what she's doing and just watch him instead. Being an excellent archer, he takes the first shot, and it's absolutely perfect. When it's Baidu's turn, Shu Wei goes to her to guide her, showing her the correct way to hold the bow. But when Baidu turns to say something to him, his lips accidentally brush against her forehead in an unintended kiss. She feels overwhelmed with embarrassment and nervousness, unable to shoot properly. Her second attempt fails as well, with none of her arrows being counted since Shu Wei is helping her directly. Yet Shu Wei doesn't care about the points, he just wants to truly teach her. Eventually, he insists that the next shot must be hers alone, but Baidu ends up shooting the arrow completely off the target board. On the way back, in the bus, Baidu is still blushing furiously, replaying in her mind how close she had been to Shu Wei. Just then, one of the organizers interrupts their thoughts by handing them a sheet with different characters, asking them to pick one to portray in an upcoming dance performance. Shu Wei chooses Beauty and the Beast, despite Baidu's objections, leaving her with no choice but to go along. On the day of the dance competition, Baidu appears in a beautiful gown as Belle, only to be surprised when Shu Wei shows up in a ridiculously silly costume meant to be the Beast. Even though it looks comical, the two of them begin dancing together with great coordination. For the first time, Baidu finds herself not just nervous, but deeply unsettled by how intensely close she feels to Shu Wei during the dance. After the dance competition ended, Shu Wei and Baidu sat in the dressing room, both silent as usual, but this time, Baidu decided to break the silence. She spoke to Shu Wei, telling him about what happened with the bully, and asked if she could attend the reunion so that no one would find out they weren't really a couple. Although she thought he would refuse, Shu Wei sent her the address and told her she could come. Baidu then asked what kind of clothes he would prefer her to wear that day. He told her to do as she wished. When she asked about his favorite color, he replied that it was blue. Soon after, the dance video of Shu Wei and Baidu spread online like wildfire, and Baidu's mother's friend's son saw it, filled with anger and jealousy. On the reunion day, Baidu wore a dark blue coat and headed there. When Shui saw her, he was captivated by how beautiful she looked in his favorite color, but as usual, he remained silent. Inside the elevator, Baidu asked him what he thought of her outfit. Shui coldly replied that it was acceptable. This enraged Baidu, since she wore blue just for him, only to hear such a blunt answer. Shui noticed her frustration and secretly laughed, then took her hand and led her out of the elevator so everyone would see them as a harmonious couple. He asked her to stay close to him. When they entered, the bully's friend recognized Baidu immediately and picked up where her friend left off, mocking Baidu in front of everyone while pretending it was just a joke. She began making fun of the height difference between Baidu and Shui. When people asked Baidu about her height, she answered, and everyone laughed, saying she looked like a little child. Shui looked at the girl with disdain and defended Baidu, saying he loved her whether she was tall or short. Embarrassed, Baidu went to the bathroom, though it didn't seem to bother Shui at all. A little later, the bully herself arrived at the reunion and went to sit beside Shui. But Baidu returned from the bathroom, walked to her seat, and told the girl to move because that was her place next to her boyfriend. Both girls felt furious and jealous, especially when Baidu sat down and Shui began feeding her and spoiling her affectionately in front of everyone. Their anger grew even worse. Later, when Baidu was heading outside, one of them deliberately stepped on her foot with a sharp high heel, causing Baidu pain. But Shui told her not to worry, carried her on his back, and said he would buy her a new pair of shoes, walking out with her and leaving the two girls fuming with rage. But the problems do not end here, as the young man who had been on the arranged date with Baidu begins spreading rumors that Shui and Baidu's relationship is fake, since she had already been on a date with him. When the bully sees this news, she tries to exploit the situation to her advantage. She contacts the press and tells them to publish the news more widely everywhere, and promises to pay them for it. Indeed, the news spreads everywhere that Shui and Baidu's relationship is fake. Tang Li sees it and calls Baidu, telling her what happened, and says they will meet outside. The four of them agree that Shui and Baidu will spend the night at a resort, and they contact a journalist they know to come and photograph them. Shui and Baidu head to the resort and book a room, while at the same time Tang Li and Yushin also go there and book a room. That night, Tang Li spends the evening with Baidu, and Yushin spends it with Shui, and everything goes smoothly. The next morning, the two continue their act, moving around the resort and even swimming together, all in front of the journalists to catch their attention. The plan works, and the journalists eventually leave. After that, Baidu and Tang Li sit together by the pool. Baidu asks her to stay a little longer, and Tang Li starts teasing her, saying that maybe she liked being close to Shui that much. Then she heads to the bathroom, and Baidu decides to take revenge on Tang Li by going into the pool and pretending to drown. But it is Shui who hears her cries, panics, and quickly jumps into the pool to save her. He anxiously asks if she is alright, but Baidu nervously admits that she wasn't actually drowning, she was just joking with Tang Li. Shui becomes extremely angry, loses his temper, and leaves the place. That evening, Tang Li brings some food to Yushin and asks him to give it to Shui as a way of apologizing. Yushin enters the room and offers the food to Shui, but Shui says he will not eat it. Yushin tells him that he will eat it then, and when he opens the box, he finds strange symbols Baidu had left for Shui, which he doesn't understand. He decides to leave the box and walk out. However, Yushin looks again at the box and understands the message. It means sorry. He smiles at her childishness. After that, the four of them leave the resort. On the way back, Baidu is so tired that she falls asleep in the car. Shui gently moves her head and rests it on his shoulder, gazing at her with clear admiration. Then he starts taking several pictures of her while she sleeps. When Baidu wakes up and sees the phone in his hand, she takes it and looks through the photos, which turn out to be funny. She scolds him and asks him to delete the pictures, but Shui refuses. Later, when he returns home, he looks at the photos again, laughing at them and remembering all of Baidu's behavior. The next day, the two bully girls find a video posted by the young man, in which he claims that Baidu came to the arranged date to deceive him, and that she is not actually dating Shui. As usual, they pay money to spread the news further. When Tang Li sees the news, she panics, realizing the situation is getting worse. She decides to go to Yushin's office to discuss it with him, but she finds him joking around with the new employee, which makes her feel jealous. She asks him to talk, and when he tells her to say what she wants, she insists she won't speak unless they're alone. The girl leaves, and Yushin asks Tang Li what happened. She tells him everything, and he responds that things are only getting worse. Tang Li then tells him she has a plan, to make Shui and Baidu live together, and to provoke a YouTuber who investigates celebrity relationships to go and watch them, taking pictures and videos from outside the house. That way, everyone will believe they are really dating. The two of them decide to carry out the plan to convince their friends. Tang Li rushes to Baidu, acting nervous and in a hurry. She begins pulling out Baidu's suitcase and clothes, telling her to return to the city where her mother lives and hide from the spotlight, because the truth is about to come out. If it does, both of them will face legal consequences for lying to the public. She urges Baidu to run away while she takes responsibility. Terrified for her friend, Baidu insists she will never abandon her no matter what happens. Tang Li tells her that the only option left is for her to live with Shui. Baidu finally agrees to move in with Shui to save her friend, telling her she would do anything for her. After that, Yushin goes to Shui and tells him what happened, suggesting that he live with Baidu. But of course, Shui refuses. Yushin then uses the same tactic, telling Shui that Baidu was the one who registered for the competition under her name before him. This means she would be the one legally responsible for the lie, and the channel would also fine her 3 million if they discovered the truth, which would completely ruin her life. When Shui hears this, he feels compelled to agree to live with Baidu. Later, Baidu goes to Shui's workplace at his gallery. When he sees her, he is surprised to find her wearing a ridiculous mask. He asks her what she is doing, and she tells him she doesn't want to face the world because she feels ashamed. Shui tells her she looks more embarrassing now than ever and asks her to take off the stupid mask. Baidu then goes up to his office, stands in front of him, and apologizes for everything she has done, because ever since she entered his life, she has only caused him problems, all because she wanted to join the show for money. She also apologizes for what happened at the resort and for always speaking badly about him. Shui is surprised that she used to talk about him that way, but seeing her standing like a little girl in front of him, sincerely apologizing, makes him laugh. He tells her not to worry about the past, that they need to focus on living together now, and he sets some rules for her stay. She must keep the house clean, not cause him any problems, and not bring any living creatures into the house. After that, Baidu moves into Shui's house and is shocked by how big and luxurious it is. She finds Shui sitting in the middle of the living room, playing the piano. When he turns and sees her, he notices she has brought her plants. He reminds her that he clearly told her he doesn't want any living creatures, but she insists they are her favorite plants and not pets, so they won't cause any trouble. Shui reluctantly agrees when he sees how attached she is to them. He carries the box, drags her suitcase, and takes Baidu on a tour of the house. He laughs when he sees her playing with the trash bin after discovering it opens and closes automatically. Finally, Shui takes her to her own room, where Baidu starts unpacking her things, and the two of them begin arranging and preparing the house to make it look as though a couple truly lives there. The next morning, the two begin preparing to welcome the YouTuber who will be coming. To everyone's surprise, he shows up dressed as Conan, genuinely believing himself to be Detective Conan. The YouTuber enters the house with a cameraman and starts filming their every move inside. He then approaches them and asks why they sleep in separate rooms. Baidu explains that she usually stays up all night recording some clips, so she doesn't want to disturb Shui. She also moves around a lot in her sleep, which is why she prefers having her own room. After that, the YouTuber asks her why she's wearing clothes that aren't suitable for being at home. She replies that she feels embarrassed because they're filming, but he insists that she change into something more casual. He tells her to go into Shui's room to change. Since Baidu doesn't have any clothes in Shui's room, the two of them are left puzzled inside with no solution, until Baidu ends up wearing Shui's shirt and walking out in it, despite his objections to people seeing her like that. When the YouTuber asks why she's wearing Shui's shirt, she tells him that she likes lounging around at home in her boyfriend's clothes. After the young man finishes filming everything in the house to confirm it's truly a couple's home, he is about to leave. But at the door, Lutian shows up, wanting to check on Baidu after watching the live stream. Shui feels irritated by the young man's presence. The YouTuber asks who he is and begins suspecting that he might be Baidu's real boyfriend. Shui then puts his hand on Baidu's shoulder and tells them that Lutian is her friend and classmate, who just came to check on her because she missed a study session with him that day. He then ushers them all back inside. The YouTuber goes back inside with them and begins asking Baidu's friend some questions, the most important being why Baidu helps him study in the first place. Lutian replies that Baidu is very hardworking and excellent in her studies, and since she has been his childhood friend, he prefers that she helps him. Although he nearly slips up a few times, he doesn't, and everything ends well. The YouTuber decides to leave after telling them he is convinced they are a real couple and that he supports their relationship. The next day, Shui is on a video call with his mother when she notices Baidu walking behind him on camera. She asks who she is, but Shui quickly changes the subject and ends the call. A little later, a package arrives for Baidu at Shui's address. Shui hands it to her, and when she opens it, she is shocked to find a torn-up doll in terrible condition with her name written on it. She feels scared and uneasy but decides to throw it away. Later, Baidu heads to her university, where she meets Lutian, who starts bombarding her with questions about Shui and the nature of the show. At the end of the day, Shui arrives with his car to pick Baidu up from campus. Lutian watches everything, feeling jealous, but he can't do anything. Baidu says goodbye to him and gets into the car with Shui. After that, Shui takes her to one of his acquaintances who needed her help with voiceover work. Baidu manages to help him successfully, and he is impressed by her skills. Shui thanks her for her assistance and then takes her to a cafe so they can have dinner together. The next day, while Baidu is at home with Shui, she is surprised when Shui's parents arrive to meet their son's girlfriend. Shui sits with them as they chat with Baidu, and it is clear they like her very much because she laughs and talks with them warmly. When she learns that Shui's father is in his 80s, she jokes with him, saying she wants his routine so she can look as radiant as he is when she turns 30. Later, Shui's mother asks to see Baidu's room. Baidu takes her there, and the lady notices a small pin Baidu had crafted. She likes it so much that Baidu offers it to her, making her happy. After they return, Shui's parents express how much they admire his girlfriend and wish them a happy life before leaving the house. The next day, Baidu is at home and wants to ask Shui something, but he doesn't respond. She starts looking for him until she finds him lying on the bathroom floor, exhausted. When she checks his temperature, she realizes he has a high fever. Baidu helps him to his bed, places cold compresses on him, gives him medicine to reduce the fever, and stays by his side all night taking care of him. She then gives him a small bell and tells him to ring it whenever he needs her, and she will come right away. Shui is surprised by what she's doing, but he holds onto the bell, laughing. When he rings it, Baidu quickly comes in and asks what he wants. Embarrassed, Shui admits he was only testing the bell, then asks her for some water. Baidu continues taking care of him for several days until he fully recovers. Once he feels better, he tells her he wants to go shopping. He takes her to the supermarket, but she is shocked at the prices of fruits and vegetables there. She then decides to take him to the local market, where the prices are much cheaper. When the vegetable seller sees them together, she tells them they make such a lovely couple who really suit each other. Later, Baidu is invited to an event for social media influencers because she is known for the stories she narrates in her voice. There, she unexpectedly runs into her old classmate who used to bully her. The girl mocks her, asking what she is doing there, but is shocked to learn that Baidu is also invited. Even more upsetting for her is that Baidu ignores her and walks straight inside, leaving the bully feeling jealous. At the event, Lutian shows up to support Baidu. While there, he overhears a voice acting team talking about how one of their members is absent and that they need a replacement urgently. Lutian offers Baidu as a substitute, and they agree to let her try. When she begins speaking, they are amazed by her talent and decide to let her take the missing girl's spot. Baidu then goes on stage with the team and performs her role, and the show is a huge success. After the performance, people start taking photos. Baidu stands quietly at the back, but they call her forward and place her in the middle front row because she's short. The bully watches all of this unfold, burning with envy and anger. At that time, Shui is at home when another package arrives for Baidu. This time, he notices a red stain on the outside of the box and decides to open it himself. When he sees the disturbing items being sent to Baidu, he becomes worried for her safety and decides to go pick her up from the event himself. Meanwhile, Baidu is laughing and joking with Lutian. When Shui arrives and sees this, he feels jealous and walks toward her. Baidu stops, surprised to see him there in person. He tells her he came to take her home. She asks if they can drop Lutian off on the way, and Shui agrees. While they are in the car, Shui begins telling her not to stay out late, to be careful on her way, and not to talk to strangers. Baidu thinks he is joking and tells him Lutian is not a stranger, but Shui insists he isn't joking, though he doesn't explain further. Both of them fall silent, confused by his strange reaction. The next day, Baidu goes to the library, and Lutian decides to go with her to look after her. While she is choosing some books, Tang Li calls her to say there are more bullying rumors spreading after the photo of the voice acting team at the event. People are claiming Baidu deliberately stood in the middle to get attention, even though she wasn't the most famous among them. But Baidu explains what really happened, that one of the girls pulled her forward because she was short, and there is actually a video proving it. Tang Li tells her she will try to find the video. A little later, Baidu sits with Lutian to have some juice. Shui texts her, asking where she is. She replies that she is at the mall, but when she asks him why he wants to know, he doesn't respond. Thinking he doesn't want to answer, she decides to ignore it. In reality, Shui has already arrived at the mall, but his phone battery has died. Unable to reach her, he goes to the information desk with the loudspeakers and asks them to call out her name, saying he is looking for a young girl. When they do, Baidu rushes to him, surprised to see him there. He tells her he was worried and wanted to take her home himself. Baidu is puzzled by his behavior, but she goes with him, and later at home, she begins to wonder why he has been so protective of her lately. That evening, Tang Li and Yushin finished work and were on their way home. Yushin told her that he would drive her, but first he suggested they go to a restaurant and have dinner together. However, on their way, they noticed the new colleague whose car had broken down. Yushin offered to drive her home himself, and along the way, he told Tang Li that he would drop her off at her house and then take their new colleague afterward. He spent the whole ride talking to that colleague, and Tang Li felt very disappointed because he had forgotten his promise to have dinner with her for the sake of this girl. At that time, Baidu received a call from a girl who introduced herself as Lili, a member of the voiceover team. She told Baidu that she had seen the rumors and had shared the video showing her pulling Baidu inside herself. Baidu thanked her for that help, and Lili offered her to come to the company the next day to work with their team. Baidu agreed and was very happy about that offer. The next day, after university, Baidu told Lutian that she had an important appointment at a voiceover studio, but she was running late, so he decided to take her on his bike. When they arrived, they saw Shui, who noticed them and felt slightly upset but didn't say anything and went upstairs. After Baidu's interview ended, she came out of the studio and found Lutian still waiting for her all that time outside. He offered to take her home on his bike, but Shui came out at that moment as well, after finishing his own work at the studio. He told Lutian that her house was too far for her to go by bike, and that he would take her himself. Since he didn't have his car with him at that time, he decided they would take the bus. That evening, Shui and Baidu sat next to each other. Shu Wei directly asked her if it was true that she wanted to travel to Japan to work as a voice actress, and if that was really her dream, then why was she wasting her time in China teaching Lutian or tiring herself with part-time jobs? He told her that everything she was doing was wearing her out and making her return home late, and that he worried about her being out every night. But because Baidu was a sensitive girl, she told him he didn't really understand her at all. Everything in his life seemed easy, while she worked all those part-time jobs only so she could save enough money to travel to Japan. She told him someone wealthy like him would never understand how hard she was trying to achieve her goals. Then she added that if he was upset about taking her home late every night, she had never asked him to do that in the first place. After that, she left the bus and decided to walk home on her own, not knowing that Shu Wei's only concern was her safety because of the threatening messages she had been receiving. While they were walking, Shu Wei suddenly felt that someone was following them. He slowed his pace so Baidu could continue ahead while he stayed behind to confront the stalker. As the person stepped out, he discovered it was actually a girl. Shu Wei asked her if she was the one sending threatening messages to Baidu, but the girl warned him not to even mention Baidu's name. It turned out she was an obsessed fan of Shu Wei. He firmly told her to stop what she was doing and decided to take her to the police station. But once she realized that, she accused him of harassing her. In the end, both of them were forced to drop their complaints against each other. The next day was the filming of the third episode of the show, which took place on the beach. Because Shu Wei and Baidu had walked home the night before, they both ended up arriving late. They barely made it on time and apologized to Tang Li for the delay. However, during filming it was obvious that they had argued and that things between them were not in a good state at all. The audience began to notice something strange about their relationship. Around the same time, rumors started spreading that Shu Wei had been at the police station the previous night because he had harassed a girl, and the public began to assume that Baidu was upset with him because of that incident. Because they came in last place in the competition, they were punished by having a full bucket of water poured over them. But the audience noticed a very thoughtful move from Shu Wei. He tried to take all the water himself to shield Baidu from it. It didn't stop there, he even gave her his own towel so she wouldn't catch a cold. When they got into the car, Baidu saw the post about Shu Wei being at the police station and asked him what happened. He told her everything in detail, including that he discovered the girl was the one sending her the threatening messages. Baidu was shocked and asked if what he told her yesterday was related to this matter. Shu Wei said that was the truth. Baidu apologized for the way she spoke to him, and he also apologized for putting too much pressure on her. Baidu asked how they should deal with the rumors, but Shu Wei told her he didn't care about them at all. Later, Baidu received a call from her mother, who told her she had gone to the doctor and learned that she had a problem with her eyes and needed treatment. Baidu told her she would try to save money as quickly as possible. That evening, Baidu went with Tang Li to look for evidence to expose the girl's lies, but the surveillance cameras didn't show everything clearly. Then Baidu noticed a young man on his bike filming the street. She remembered seeing him there several times before. He explained that he passed through every day and filmed the area, so Baidu asked for his camera. On it, she saw a recording from the previous night, showing the girl following Shu Wei and capturing everything that happened. After that, the two girls go out to celebrate and start drinking. Tang Li ends up completely drunk and complains to Baidu about Yushin's behavior toward her. Sometimes he treats her kindly, and other times it feels like he doesn't care about her at all, which upsets her deeply. Baidu also talks about her relationship with Shu Wei, mentioning how he upset her the day before. After a while, Baidu sends a message to Yushin, asking him to come and take Tang Li home. At the same time, Tang Li sends a message to Shu Wei, asking him to come and take Baidu, with neither of them knowing that her friend had done the same. The two young men arrive at the place and find the girls in a miserable state, completely drunk. Each one carries his girl to take her home. The next day, while Baidu is sitting, she suddenly receives a call from Yushin, who tells her that Tang Li has been in an accident. She rushes there immediately and finds Yushin standing in a devastated state after receiving a call from the hospital, as he was the last person to contact Tang Li. The doctor comes out and asks if any of the patient's relatives are there. Yushin tells him that he is her boyfriend. The doctor explains that she is fine, but her arm is broken and she needs surgery. However, it is not an easy procedure, and the risk level is high. If the surgery goes well, Tang Li will regain the ability to move her arm. Otherwise, they will have to resort to physiotherapy and placing her arm in a cast, though there remains a possibility that she may never move her arm again. A decision has to be made immediately. Everyone is devastated, but Yushin makes the decision and tells them to proceed with the surgery. Indeed, Tang Li undergoes the operation, and thankfully, it ends successfully. They all go in to check on her, and the doctor tells them that someone must stay by her side. Yushin says he will stay with her throughout the night and asks the others to go home and rest. The next morning, Baidu arrives at the hospital carrying some of Tang Li's personal belongings. At that moment, Yushin tells her that he will be leaving now and will come back in the evening. The two girls sit together, and Baidu realizes that Tang Li is happy because of Yushin's care and attention. Later, it becomes clear that the next episode of the show will focus on the personal lives of each couple. Baidu tells Shu Wei that they need to practice for the episode and learn more about the things they like and have in common. Baidu decides to give him some of the books she enjoys reading, while Shu Wei gives her some of his own favorites. However, they soon realize that reading these books will take a lot of time and won't be very useful, so they agree it would be better to go on a real date to learn more about each other. They go to an amusement park, and Shui notices that Baidu is nervous and unwilling to try most of the rides. He pulls her along and insists that she join him on one of them. During the ride, Baidu starts screaming in clear panic. When Shui asks why she is reacting that way, she admits that she is afraid of heights. Shui asks why she never told him before, and she replies that he never asked. Although he is happy that his plan worked and he discovered something new about her, he also feels worried for her. After the ride ends, Baidu sits down to catch her breath, and Shui hands her some juice. Curious, he asks about the reason behind her fear of heights. She explains that when she was in middle school, she went on a mountain climbing trip with her classmates. One of the bullies pushed her as a joke, but she actually fell. What saved her was that she managed to cling to a tree branch, while a steep rock lay below her. Her feet were touching the rock as she hung on tightly to the branch, and she remained that way for a long time until she was finally rescued. When she went home and told her mother what had happened, her mother scolded her and forbade her from going on any more school trips. Since then, she has suffered from a phobia of heights. Shui tells her that she cannot remain at the mercy of her mother's beliefs and the bullying of others, and that she must learn to overcome this fear. Baidu asks him if he has any phobias, and he admits that he is afraid of the dark. To overcome their fears together, they decide to climb one of the towers and stay there to face those phobias. Baidu is extremely scared, but Shui covers his eyes and tells her that now he is in the darkness he fears, unable to see anything, and that he will rely on her to guide him. Baidu takes his hand and begins leading him upward. When they finally reach the top, they are both happy and take pictures from above. After they come down, they find a group of boys with a tiny kitten. The boys say they found it but don't know what to do with it. Baidu shows great admiration and affection for the kitten, so Shui decides to take it home with him, despite not liking animals because they make the house messy. He takes it only for Baidu's sake, and she is overjoyed by what he did. Together, they start thinking of names for the kitten. Later, Shui takes Baidu to his workplace and shows her the wooden sculpture he is carving. Baidu is very happy. After that, we shift to the bully, who discovers that her father will be the official sponsor of the program featuring Shui and Baidu. She decides to act as her father's representative on the show, then meets with the producers and suggests that Shui and Baidu should be removed, claiming they are a problematic couple surrounded by rumors, which would damage the image of the program. When Tang Li learns about this, she and Yushin try to solve the problem, but they cannot do much. All they can do is ask the producers to at least pay Shui and Baidu the promised money for participating, since it is not their fault that they were eliminated. Shui and Baidu then receive a call from Yushin, who tells them everything that happened and that they have been eliminated from the show. Both feel sad, as this means they can no longer spend as much time together as before. Later, Baidu visits Tang Li in the hospital. Tang Li apologizes for what happened, saying it was out of her hands and that the show's sponsor insisted on eliminating them without any real reason. Baidu tells her she is not angry, the important thing is that they managed to receive the money. After that, the distance between Baidu and Shui begins to grow. Shui focuses more on his work and stops meeting Baidu, while Baidu herself becomes busy with her new job at the voiceover studio. Later, she learns that she has been chosen to voice one of the characters in a historical drama and starts training for the role. When she returns home, she gathers her belongings to say goodbye to Shui, since she will no longer be living with him. Although Shui feels sad, he does not know what to say. He simply asks her to visit from time to check on the kitten, then gives her a gift. Baidu leaves, happy with the gesture. When she opens the gift, she discovers it is the set of figurines Shui had once bought for her, and she feels overjoyed. Baidu then sits with her mother to understand what is going on. Her mother breaks down in tears and admits that she has no problem with her eyes. She only wanted to invest so they could earn more money. She confesses that she put in everything she owned, along with the money Baidu had given her, into this company, and now she is in shock. Baidu is devastated by what her mother did, as it wasted months of hard work, but she decides not to pressure her further. Instead, she comforts her and tells her they will go to the police the following day. Baidu spends the whole night searching for information about the company, but she cannot find anything. As she expected, even filing a police report leads to nothing useful. Realizing this, she decides to give up on the matter and goes back to working multiple jobs, trying to earn money again and make up for the loss. Meanwhile, Tang Li returns to the company feeling happy, only to discover that Yushin has grown very close to the new employee. He spends a lot of time with her, to the point where he even buys her the same necklace he once gave Tang Li. She overhears whispers among the staff saying that Yushin replaced her the moment she left, because he cannot bear being alone without a woman in his life. Deeply disappointed and heartbroken, Tang Li feels replaced. She goes to the manager to request 4 more days off, saying she is still not well. As for Baidu, she works non-stop, barely finding any time to rest. All this effort begins to affect her performance in voice acting, to the extent that her manager scolds her in front of everyone. She cries silently, feeling very sad, but she cannot say anything because she knows he is right, it was her own negligence in her work. On one of the days she was working at the Waitress Cafe, she discovered Lution sitting there, reading one of the manga volumes. He started talking to her, trying his best to ease her stress. The next day, Baidu was in the library, reaching for some books. Shui happened to see her trying to jump to the shelf to get them but failing, which made him smile. When Baidu called for one of the workers to help her, Shui told him to leave and began helping her himself. She asked why he hadn't helped her from the start, and he replied that he had been enjoying watching her like that. After Baidu went to buy the books, she realized the price was higher than the money she had, so she returned some of them and bought only one. But after she left, Shui bought the rest of the books. When Shui left, he found Baidu outside, clearly exhausted. He told her he would take her home. Once she got into his car, it didn't take long for her to fall asleep. Shui placed his coat over her. When they reached her home, he didn't want to wake her, so he kept driving until she woke up on her own. When she finally did, he took her home, and she thanked him for the ride. But Shui got out after her, handed her the books, and told her he had bought them for her. Baidu thanked him, though she felt embarrassed by what he had done. The next day, Shui took the kitten and hid it. Then he called Baidu, telling her the kitten was lost and asking her to come help him search for it because the house was big. He did this because he had missed her and wanted to see her. When Baidu arrived, she was very worried about the kitten and started searching everywhere until she found it inside Shui's wardrobe. She pulled it out and helped Shui reorganize the clothes the kitten had messed up. Afterward, Baidu told him she had to leave because she was meeting Lutian at a cafe to study with him. Shui said he would drive her there since he wanted to buy coffee anyway. When they arrived, Shui saw Lutian asking Baidu to help him tie his necktie. Shui, feeling jealous, went straight to Lutian, tied it for him himself, and told him that there wasn't a man who couldn't tie his own tie. Then, he left the place. After that, we see Tang Li, who is very upset with Yushin's behavior and remembers how overly close he had been with the new employee. She calls Baidu and asks her to come sit with her by the sea for a while. Baidu goes to her and comforts her, and the two girls have a drink together. Later, one of Shui's employees comes to him asking for a day off to celebrate his birthday and invites him to the party. Shui tells him he will come but also wants him to call Baidu and invite her as well. The man is surprised, but he calls Baidu and invites her to his birthday. Although she isn't close to this employee, Baidu decides to attend. When Lutian hears about this, he is surprised, since it doesn't seem natural, but he doesn't comment. After that, the mean girl goes to the cafe where Baidu works and starts throwing silly comments at her, trying to annoy her as much as possible. But Baidu keeps her composure and refuses to let her bring her down. So, the bully decides to mock the anime characters drawn on the cup, which Baidu had drawn herself. However, the people in the cafe get annoyed because it is an anime cafe, and now she is mocking it. They start defending Baidu. The bully demands that Baidu apologize for drawing such an ugly design, but Baidu refuses. The bully then grabs the cup and tries to throw the coffee on Baidu, but Baidu raises her tray to shield herself. At that moment, the manager steps in, scolds and curses the bully, then kicks her out, leaving her fuming with anger. The manager then looks at Baidu and gives her the rest of the day off so she can forget about what happened. After that, Lutian decides to take Baidu to the beach and confess his love, telling her that he has admired her for a very long time. Baidu is surprised and politely rejects him, saying that she only considers him a friend. Although he is very sad, he respects her decision and leaves. Afterward, the new employee at Yushin and Tang Li's company manages to bring in new sponsors and advertisers for the show's second season, which means there is no problem for Baidu and Shui to join again. Tang Li goes to Baidu, tells her the news, and reminds her that this is her chance to make up for the money her mother lost. Baidu thinks about it and feels it would be a great opportunity, so she agrees to participate in the show again. However, she makes it clear that if Shui refuses, she will not let Yushin beg him like last time. The next day, Shui goes to pick up Baidu for the birthday party and tells her that Yushin informed him about the show and that he agreed to participate. Baidu honestly admits that she also agreed because she needs the money. When they arrive at the party, Shui keeps watching Baidu the whole time, smiling and staying by her side. Meanwhile, Lutian arrives to take her home, but he finds Shui standing in front of him, telling him that he is with Baidu now and will take her himself. Then he holds her hand and leaves. On the way back, Shui tells her to get ready to move into his house again. Baidu says she's surprised that he willingly agreed to join the show this time, since she thought he hated anyone disturbing his home, messing with his belongings, or calling her his girlfriend. But Shui tells her that she's right, yet he doesn't mind if someone calls her his girlfriend. Baidu gets nervous and asks if he's okay with staying all this time without going on blind dates or falling for other girls. Shui bravely responds by asking if it's not allowed for him to fall in love with her instead. Baidu grows even more tense and asks what he'll tell his family, since he had already told them they broke up. Shui replies that he'll simply say they got back together again. Later, the company employees gather to discuss the new plan for the second season of the show. The new employee presents her plan, but Tang Li doesn't like it and says it's copied from foreign ideas and isn't suitable for them, warning it could harm the show and its reputation. The new employee argues that stirring up controversy has never failed to make a show succeed. Tang Li strongly disagrees and leaves the meeting. She then sits with Yushin privately and tells him that what they're doing goes against the principles they agreed on together, and that this method is far too cheap. But Yushin reminds her that the girl was the one who brought in the advertisers, so he can't object to what she's doing, and besides, using such a method isn't that bad since it will bring in more profit. Tang Li is shocked by his response and leaves feeling angry and discouraged. On the other hand, Baidu's mother goes to wake her up because Shui has already arrived at the house. Baidu tells her that he came to take her back to his place for the program. Baidu's mother offers him breakfast with them, and Shui agrees. After breakfast, Baidu goes to pack her things while her mother sits with Shui to talk. She tells him everything that has happened with them and how Baidu works hard to earn money at any cost. She asks him not to upset her or do anything that might hurt her. Shui tells her that he respects her a lot, respects her dreams, and will never give up on this idea. After that, Baidu comes out ready, and Shui takes her to his house. When they arrive and Baidu places her bags, she is surprised to find that Shui has kept her room exactly the way it was since she left, without changing a single thing, which amazes her. Afterward, Shui goes to his workplace with Baidu. He enters before her, but finds his colleague, the bully's friend, there. As soon as she sees him, she jumps into his arms. Shui quickly pushes her away, but Baidu has already arrived and witnessed the scene. Shui becomes nervous, sits next to her, and tries to explain, but Baidu tells him not to worry because she fully understands that he would never do such a thing since he cannot break the contract terms. Shui insists that it is not like that, but Baidu does not give him the chance and quickly leaves, saying she has work to do. In the evening, Baidu meets Tang Li, who is sad and drinking. She tells her that Yushin has started acting strangely, no longer holding the same principles, and she feels he is changing because of that woman. She tells her that she is going to leave the program and working with Yushin, and advises Baidu to continue for the money. At that moment, Yushin happens to be there by coincidence and hears them, but he does not speak. He simply pays the restaurant bill and leaves. The next day, Tang Li submits her resignation. Yushin tries to stop her and persuade her to change her mind, but she refuses. Meanwhile, Baidu is at work, feeling slightly dizzy and on a call with Lutian. As soon as he hears, he quickly arrives with food for her. He then offers to take her home, but Baidu asks him to focus on his own life and stop interfering, or she will distance herself from him. Lutian tells her he is acting out of friendship, nothing more. At that moment, Shui arrives, sees Baidu in this state, and takes her hand to lead her home. The following day, both of them start filming the promotional advertisement for the show. Unlike the previous season, it is more romantic and intimate, making Baidu feel nervous. Shui approaches her and tells her she wasn't this nervous when she was around Lutian. Then, as directed by the director, he kisses her on the cheek. Shortly after, Baidu receives a call from her mother, saying she has fallen and her foot hurts badly. Baidu and Shui rush there and find that her mother has likely twisted her ankle. Shui carries her on his back to the hospital, handles all the admission procedures, pays for the x-rays, and covers all the costs. He tells Baidu he did it for her. Baidu feels grateful and promises to repay him. Afterward, they return home and begin watching the promotional footage. Both notice how nervous they are about being a couple on screen. Shui suggests they call each other by their first names and share some personal information and secrets. He asks Baidu about her first love. She tells him there was someone, and at that moment, the power goes out, making Shui fearful of the dark. Baidu fetches some candles and tells him that her first love was a composer, someone she admired greatly, and that he is the best composer in the world. Shui smiles and says he probably isn't that great, but Baidu insists his violin playing was incredible and he is the best in her eyes. When the electricity returns, Baidu goes back to her room. Tang Li feels that the way she has been living her life is not right and decides to go to Yushin's house. When she opens the door, the new employee who had brought Yushin home after he had drunk too much is there. Tang Li sits in front of Yushin and tells him that she loves him. She says she once believed his behavior toward her was special, only to realize he acts the same way with any girl he meets. She admits she only now understands her true feelings but hasn't acted on them further. Then she asks him directly about his feelings toward her. Yushin hesitates and tells her he doesn't know. Tang Li responds that she now knows, stands up, and leaves. Later, Baidu's mother is discharged from the hospital, and Shui is there to assist her. He takes her out of the hospital but brings her to his house instead of her own so they can take care of her. Her mother is shocked to see the large, luxurious home and calls Baidu, asking her to come immediately. When Baidu arrives, her mother scolds her for not telling her earlier that Shui is very wealthy and that carving and making musical instruments can bring in so much money. In the evening, Baidu's mother prepares dinner for Baidu and Shui. Her view of Shui changes completely after seeing how well he treats her daughter, how he cared for her at the hospital, and, on top of that, how wealthy he is, capable of taking care of her. The next day, while having breakfast, Shui tells Baidu that for the first episode of the show they need to wear couple outfits. He takes her shopping to buy new clothes. After a lot of struggle at the mall, they purchase the outfits. However, during the episode, they discover it is a regular episode and no one is wearing couple outfits. Baidu tells Shui, and he becomes flustered, explaining that Yushin was obviously joking with him. Shortly after, Baidu receives a message from her mother saying she has returned home and is feeling better, asking Baidu to take care of herself. Then Baidu goes to see Tang Li, who tells her that she has found a new job and from now on will take care of herself only. She also mentions that she will make a documentary about a famous violinist who will participate in a competition and asks if Shui will compete in the violin competition as well. Baidu tells Tang Li that she doesn't know. The next day, Shui visits Baidu's mother, bringing her some herbal medicines. The woman is very happy with this. She gets up to offer him some fruit, and while cutting it, she tells Shui that Baidu loves cutting vegetables and fruit but cannot do it well without her special cutting board. Shu Wei explains that the cutting board is made of very rare wood and it would be a waste just to use it for cutting, so he will buy it from her. Baidu's mother is surprised but agrees. When Shu Wei returns home, he tells Baidu that he noticed she hasn't been able to cut vegetables well since she arrived, and from her mother, he learned she can't use any other board, so he brought it for her. Baidu is amazed by his gesture. Later, Baidu goes to an audition for a series. The Bully is there filming a vlog. When Baidu enters the audition room, she is surprised to see Shu Wei, but she is shocked when the director introduces him as the famous composer she has always admired. Baidu is stunned because he had never revealed himself before. During the audition, she remains very focused. Later, when checking the results, she finds her name is not on the list of successful candidates and does not understand why. The Bully mocks her and claims she only succeeded because of her connection with Shu Wei. Baidu's colleague defends her, saying her name is not even on the successful list. Then Shu Wei and the director come out and explain that there was a mistake on the name board and that Baidu did succeed. The Bully continues her accusations, but the director explains that after listening to the recording, he discovered Baidu's microphone was malfunctioning, and she had to change her voice herself to match the character she was portraying, making her the most deserving for the role. The Bully claims this is unfair because she is Shu Wei's girlfriend. The director looks at Shu Wei and says he is lucky to have her as his girlfriend, then turns to the Bully and explains that the decision was unanimous, not just Shu Wei's. Afterward, Baidu leaves the place, extremely embarrassed because she didn't realize Shu Wei was the composer she had always praised and admired, her first love. She tries to run away, but Shu Wei follows her. While running, her heel breaks and she falls. Shu Wei quickly rushes to her, throws her broken shoe in the trash, and carries her on his back, telling her he will buy her another pair. When Baidu returns home, she is extremely tense, which Shu Wei notices. He repeatedly tries to calm her down, but nothing seems to work. Even during the filming of the show's episodes, her stress is evident, though Shu Wei continues to try to soothe her so she can continue filming. Meanwhile, Tang Li is also very nervous because she is working on a documentary about the world-famous violinist Mars. She discovers how kind and respectful he is toward her. Later, it is revealed that Mars is a close friend of Shu Wei. He goes to Shu Wei at his company, asking him to join the violin competition this year because he wants to compete against him, but Shu Wei refuses to participate. Later, Baidu learns before filming the final episode that her favorite voice actress will be visiting China to give a lecture on voice acting for students. She is very excited to go, but unfortunately, an important task arises, and she cannot attend. When Shu Wei notices her disappointment, he decides to go to the lecture in her place. He records the entire lecture for Baidu and, due to his connection, manages to get some time with the woman. He plays Baidu's recordings for her and records the conversation so that Baidu can hear the advice herself. When the woman asks Shu Wei why he does all this for Baidu and about his relationship with her, Shu Wei says he cannot explain his feelings yet, but he wants to help Baidu in every way possible. He wants to do whatever she enjoys, loves to see her laugh, and feels pain when she is sad. The woman laughs, realizing he has fallen in love and wishes him happiness. Later, while driving, Shu Wei sees a small child almost getting into an accident. He rushes to save the child just in time. However, Shu Wei suddenly feels dizzy and realizes his phone is dead. He gets out of the car, stops a girl, and asks for her phone to give her Baidu's number so she can call him. The girl misunderstands, thinking the handsome man is giving her his number, and she leaves. At the same time, Shu Wei collapses to the ground. Baidu becomes very worried when Shu Wei does not arrive for the final episode and refuses to appear in front of the audience without him. She sees comments saying he abandoned her, but she refuses to believe it and tells the cameraman that she does not know where Shu Wei is and will not participate in the episode without him. After that, Shu Wei is taken to the hospital, and they find that he has no phone or identification, only the number of the girl who was helping him. Seeing his condition and realizing that no one knows anything about him, she decides to take his picture and upload it online. Some people recognize him, and Baidu rushes to the hospital. She is shocked to see him in that state and thanks the girl, staying by his side. Yushin asks the girl about the location of the car, goes there to retrieve it, and returns to the hospital with Shu Wei's bag. He gives it to Baidu, and when she opens it, she finds the audio recorder and the video of the voice actress evaluating Baidu. At the end of the recording, she hears Shu Wei's voice, which he forgot to turn off, saying things about her. She cries with happiness and feels love for him. The next day, Shu Wei wakes up to find his family and everyone around him. He asks them about the final episode of the show, and Baidu reassures him that everything is fine. Meanwhile, Tang Li wakes up to a call from her coworker, who tells her that his bag was stolen. She scolds him, asking what importance that has to her. He explains that the bag contained all the video and audio recordings she had made for Mars. Shocked, Tang Li decides to go to Mars to apologize and explain what happened. Mars tells her he is not upset about it and has no problem recording the scenes with her again. Tang Li thanks him for his understanding and excuses herself to go to the bathroom. While she is gone, some fans approach Mars, and when she returns, she listens as the girls lament that he refused to go out to a nightclub with them, saying he has a girl he loves and cannot do such things. Tang Li sits in front of him, surprised that he has a girlfriend, and asks about what she heard. He explains that the girl he loves is close, so why would he leave her for someone else? At that moment, Tang Li receives a call from Baidu that Shu Wei is in the hospital. She quickly goes there with Mars. Tang Li talks about Baidu losing the program money because she refused to participate, but Baidu signals her to stay quiet, since Shu Wei doesn't know about it. Mars speaks to Shu Wei and asks him to join the competition again, but Shu Wei refuses once more. Later, Yushin arrives to check on Shu Wei. Seeing Tang Li there, he speaks to her kindly and offers to get her some fruit, which she refuses. Mars intervenes, asking about the young man's identity. Tang Li tells him he is her former manager. However, Mars says he is not just a partner, he truly loves her. Yushin is shocked and tries to argue with him, but Tang Li stops him, standing in front of Mars and asking him to stop joking. Mars insists he is not joking because he really loves her. Yushin becomes angrier, grabs her, but she pushes him away, takes Mars's hand, and leaves, leaving Yushin furious and frustrated. Mars and Tang Li are outside, and he apologizes for confessing to her at an inappropriate time. He jokes, asking her to take him along so he can get some drinks. Meanwhile, Baidu takes Shu Wei back home, and he apologizes to her for being the reason she lost money again. She tells him not to worry about it and insists she will stay with him to take care of him until he regains his strength, preparing food for him because he often feels dizzy. After that, Baidu takes an academic exam that will allow her to travel to Japan and passes it successfully. She meets with Lutian and tells him that she won't be able to continue giving him lessons because she wants to focus on studying for the exam that qualifies her to travel. She also explains that Shu Wei has finally agreed to participate in a music competition, so she wants to stay by his side and support him. Although Lutian feels sad, he accepts her decision gracefully. Baidu returns to Shu Wei, staying close to him, balancing her studies and taking care of him, helping him practice the violin. She notices how deeply he is attached to the violin and that their relationship with the instruments he makes is more profound than she initially thought. One day, while sitting beside him, she falls asleep from exhaustion. Shu Wei looks at her with love, covers her with a blanket, and keeps watching her until he falls asleep too. When she wakes up, she realizes that Shu Wei has finished crafting the violin he was making. She feels a bit disappointed for missing the moment, but Shu Wei reassures her not to worry and takes her in his car to a nearby lake. There, alone, they are amazed by glowing fireflies filling the area. Shu Wei explains that the fireflies appear only at this time of night and tells her that he brought her there to confess that she lights up his life like these fireflies. He then tells her he loves her, which does not surprise her because she had already known from the recording. She tells him she loves him too. Shu Wei says he will enter the music competition with the violin he made, naming it Night Lights. Baidu reminds him that she promised to name the violin herself. Shu Wei asks her to say the name, and she does. Together, Baidu and Shu Wei light up the night sky with their music. Shu Wei laughs at the name she chose, making Baidu slightly annoyed, so he decides to officially choose the name she had originally picked. Yushin is at a cafe with his friends when he sees Tang Li on a date with Mars, and they are happy together. A deep sadness shows on his face as he feels he has lost the girl who truly loved him. Shortly after, Tang Li tells Mars that her stomach hurts, so he decides to help her get home. Yushin sees them very close to each other, goes to her, and tries to separate Mars from her. At that moment, Tang Li slaps him in the face, takes Mars, and leaves, leaving Yushin in shock and deep sadness. He drives to Tang Li's house and stays there. When Tang Li looks out the window, she finds Yushin outside. She goes to him carrying a box containing all the gifts he had given her before, telling him to forget everything that happened. Yushin follows her home, trying to get another chance, but Tang Li tells him that there are no more chances because she waited for him when she loved him and when she needed him, but he didn't think of returning until he saw her with someone else. She now truly loves Mars. Yushin asks her to hug him one last time, and she agrees. She tells him to take care of himself and asks him to leave. He leaves completely broken. After that, there is a violin competition where Shu Wei wins first place, while Mars takes second. After the performance, Tang Li sits with Mars, trying to console him for not winning. Mars tells her he is not upset because it was a fair competition and Shu Wei is his close friend. He then tells her that he loves her and wants to marry her but feels unsure if she is ready, so he doesn't dare to propose. Tang Li looks at him lovingly and tells him to try again, maybe she will agree. Mars jokingly presents a soda lid as if it were a ring and proposes, and Tang Li accepts, making Mars extremely happy because she agreed to marry him. After that, Baidu receives a message from the academy in Japan where she wants to study. She has passed the second exam and now must attend an interview. Baidu is overjoyed and runs to Shu Wei, hugging him in happiness. She tells him she is very, very happy, and Shu Wei congratulates her and insists that he will buy her new clothes for the interview. After that, we see Tang Li and Mars's wedding. Baidu asks her if she is sure about her decision, and Tang Li tells her that she is certain and that she loves Mars very much. Yushin is also at the wedding, deeply saddened by losing Tang Li. During the wedding, Tang Li dances with Yushin, who apologizes to her. She tells him that she has forgiven him and asks him to focus on his own life. Later, Baidu receives an offer to play a role in a major series at a voiceover company. She accepts the offer, feeling very happy, and tells Shu Wei, who says he will meet her in the evening to celebrate. When he meets her at a table on the beach, Baidu thinks he is going to propose, but she doesn't see a ring or even the cake, which leaves her disappointed. Then Shu Wei shows her fireworks he prepared especially for her, and she becomes very happy. They sit on the beach, waiting for shooting stars, but none appear. Baidu decides to leave, but Shui tells her there is something more important than the shooting stars. He takes out the ring and proposes. Baidu hugs him with great joy and then sees more fireworks Shui prepared for her. She thanks him happily and feels grateful that he is in her life.